talk to the, non-Jews, the uncircumcised. And, the point we're gonna pick up today is in chapter, is in verse 15. We're gonna talk a little more about, being righteous by believing in what God did. We're gonna talk about how Christ is our substitute. We're gonna talk about how we were cursed and that Jesus took the curse for us. Okay? And we're gonna talk about how we're gonna talk about liberties, freedom, and living. We talked about that last week, about how God intended for us to enjoy our lives. And I also want to talk about how we can take our focus off of ourselves and stop being so selfish in our communications with God, and our prayer with God, and our request with God. And let's think about being a little more what God wants instead of what we want. Think about that. And that's what Paul is saying here too, is that this transformation that we talk about, the renewal of our mind, that's something wrong with that we, at some point we learn to stop going to God for everything I need, and going to God, well, God, what can I do for you?
Yes.
So think about that too, and examine yourself. I haven't said that in a while. We have to examine ourselves, think about yourself, look over what your experience with God is. Is your experience going to God every time you need something? God, I need this, God, I need this, or is it, have you matured enough and moved away from that a little bit and more into thinking about what God needs to use you for? Because remember, God saved us so we can cause somebody else to be saved. He didn't save us for, okay, I'm saved, now I'm going to hell, I'm in heaven, I'm not worried about everybody else. He literally saved one person. Okay, so we learn to grow in that direction to where our motives, our things, our desires change from God, I need, I want, to God, and do things with his hands. Okay, so think about that. So Paul is talking once again to the believers and the person in Corinth. He has people that's going around saying, yeah, Paul, what he's teaching is okay, but you gotta add to it. You gotta still follow the law. And so Paul is having to dispel that again. Prove who he is, and proving who he is, prove what he's teaching is legit. And so that's what we're gonna pick up and dive in. We're just gonna pick up at verse 15. Galatians 2, verse 15 says, we who are Jews by nature and not sinners of the Gentiles, it says, knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Jesus Christ. Even we have believed in Jesus Christ that we might be justified by the faith of Christ and not by the works of the law. It says, for by the works of the law shall no man be justified. Okay, so let's stop right there at 15 and 16, because that's kind of the theme of this chapter, is that you cannot, Paul is teaching us that you can't work yourself, and then you can't do so much that I can go to heaven. I can do this, I do this, then I can go to heaven. Paul is saying that's not how it works. We can't do that. What Christ did on the cross takes care of what needs to be done. What we need to do is see God. What y'all think? I'm throwing it out there for open conversation.
You mentioned when you were kind of opening up for us that we were cursed. Why were we cursed?
Because of what happened in the garden. Man, we were cursed and left on the law at that time, and we needed the law, but the law was to show us how wrong we were. And so, cursed because we had disconnected our connection with God. Adam did that, we and Adam, we did that. What y'all think?
Yeah, because I know sometimes if we say curse, and we throw that term out there, and you say Jesus became the curse for us, but it's good that you explain to us why we're cursed, because somebody can think they're cursed because of something that they've done.
Absolutely.
But they were born compromised because of the fall of humanity through the universal couple of Adam and Eve. Therefore, that failure transferred itself into our life, and it's acting out through our day-to-day activity. And the only way to get broken from that curse is through Christ.
Yeah.
And Christ is what breaks it. you can go through a rehabilitational program and do a lot of things, but they will only suppress.
That's right.
They won't deliver you from it. I want to touch on that, because a lot of times we can throw a term out that's common to us,
Absolutely.
and if a person's not familiar with it, it can sound, what do you mean? The law, what is the law?
The law of Moses, what he brought out, the Ten Commandments, the original Ten Commandments. They were holding more fast than all the other laws that they added to it, but the original Ten Commandments was that steadfast to hold.
Yeah, we focus on there's a whole lot more than ten,
Yes,
but we
sir.
focus on that ten.
Like over
Yeah.
300.
613 he said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so we focus on the ten.
The 10.
Yeah, but there was a lot that was 55 miles an hour on the sign doesn't make you drive right, but it lets you know when you're wrong.
Absolutely.
And that's what the law
No
means.
longer need, that's
It
what
didn't
it's
make
for.
you do right,
Yeah.
but it lets you know you're out of order.